fellow listeners, viewers. How are we all going?
Good, mate. I'm good. Not gonna bother asking the question back because I know the answer. I can hear it in your voice. It's been a tough weekend for Carlton supporters. It's been a rough one. Been a wild ride all year, and the way it ended obviously wasn't what you were looking for.
Yeah, it's honestly hard to put into words. I honestly don't know what to say. I feel like we spoke about it a bit tonight, but it's complete shock, disbelief, obvious disappointment. It's just been a very tough, flattening 24 hours. That's for sure. I don't know. Maybe you say something, please.
Obviously it was for starters, from a neutral standpoint, it was probably game of the year, and we were talking about this last week, saying that it's, arguably going to be the biggest home and away game we've seen in a long time. The rivalry between Carlton and Collingwood was due to come back in full flight, and I think we definitely saw that on Sunday afternoon. It was absolutely electric. I was there with you before the game up and down Swan Street, and the fans that were around, you could feel something different in the air. And then I didn't get into the game. I know you were there, obviously, but it was it was a pretty special game from like I said, a neutral standpoint. Obviously, heartbreaking result for Carlton fans, but I think for me, watching it at the pub with everyone that was there, it was so many ups and downs. Like, Collingwood hit the front, Carlton then hit the front, looked dominant. Then Collingwood obviously had that late run, and it was one of the better games we've seen all season. And I guess it just ended the way Collingwood have sort of been ending games all year, didn't it?
Yeah, nothing new there from a Collingwood point of view, was it? You look at the key stats from the game. I know I say this every week, but Carlton dominated all those key areas, and Collingwood still found a way to win. That you couldn't have scripted what happened yesterday. I think that was as brutal as it gets. That's definitely the most brutal, tough, emotionally shattering game I've ever experienced. Like, that was when that siren went. I just sat in my seat for a minute, just staring straight ahead of me, and not gonna lie, there were definitely tears. There was a lot of people around us in the same position, just in complete shock and very upset. Complete heartbreak. And especially being against Collingwood of all teams, the way they carried on after the game, like they won the premiership. Their supporters. The thing that really has upset me the most after the game has been the response from not just Collingwood supporters, but footy supporters in general. It's been pretty fierce, pretty disgusting. I've spoken to a lot of Carlton people, and they've been receiving some very disturbing messages from people, which, it's all fun. Like, absolutely give people shit when your team loses, that's fine, but there's a line that you just don't cross. And when you start having personal attacks at people and things like that, it's just not on. I've even had Essendon supporters give me shit. Like, seriously?
We shouldn't throw stones.
Please go back into your little space down in the bottom four, you absolute peasants.
Who's their coach again?
I don't know one. Yeah.
Wow.
No coach, no hope, no future, no culture. The list goes on. Anyway, that's a side note. We don't talk about an irrelevant team here. I think that the aftermath of that was pretty tough. But I do appreciate everyone that has welfare checked me. I really do appreciate that. That does seriously does mean a lot. It was a pretty tough time there last night and even today. So appreciate all the people that reached out and definitely saw the true colours of some people, that's for sure, and definitely some that listened to this.
They're on notice.
Oh, notice. It's just, your true colours really do come out from things like this. So, but no, mate, that was tough, very brutal. Very flattening. It's the most flattening I've ever been after a game of footy, obviously. To be so close yet miss out like that was bloody tough to take.
Yeah, I can imagine. But take us back to the beginning of the game. I know in the past, one of the biggest roars or crowd cheers, I guess, have been heard in recent times was the 2013 elimination final between Richmond and Carlton, and obviously that result went your way. But you were saying before that the crowd before the game was louder. Like this topped it.
Yeah.
For a home and away game as well. This topped it, did it?
Yeah, I think the atmosphere there was electric. It was something. I mean, yeah, the 2013 elimination final for me was all like. There's always been that game where it's just the crowd was absolutely nuts, but I think this topped it. When the boys ran out, the noise of the Carlton fans when we were running out and we came up on the big screen and they were about to run out the race. It was, spine-tingling stuff. It really got everyone going. And then, the third quarter that we had where we kicked 8 goals, the roar was just incredible, something I've never witnessed before. So I think the only thing that can really top that is a grand final. And I'm not sure what that would be like, and you'd be the one to know. But that was the crowd yesterday was crazy, and I mean the Collingwood crowd were obviously very loud as well when they won and got in front too. So you couldn't have asked for two bigger teams to play in a game like that. That meant so much. So
no, well that's the thing. It was one of those ones that was almost destined. To end that way for one team or the other, I guess. But the game itself was a spectacle for all footy fans, sort of everywhere. And like we said, obviously the result didn't go your way, but I know Collingwood supporters out there would be pretty rapt. They've finished top 4 now, which you go back to last year, that was never sort of on the radar from anyone's point of view, really. I mean, I obviously had them at wooden spooners in my season prediction, so I got that wrong. Very wrong. But from, like I said, a neutral standpoint, game of the year for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think it's too soon for me to be saying anything positive about Collingwood after yesterday. So
still raw.
Yeah, and don't want to. And if you want to, apparently a lot of Collingwood supporters don't like what I say on the podcast, but I don't hear it from them personally, so if you want to talk about it, my DMs are open. So instead of going through other people, I want you come to me and we can talk about it. All right?
Putting them on notice, we like it.
Yeah.
We like it. Well, speaking of comments that aren't necessarily positive, Dane Zorko, been a naughty boy. Obviously at the Melbourne game, Melbourne absolutely pummeled Brisbane at the Gabba and made a real statement. And I don't know if it's more of a reflection on where Brisbane are at or where Melbourne are at. And we can talk about the game because obviously it was the Friday night blockbuster. We thought it was going to be, well, that could have been game of the round, on paper. But then, Melbourne obviously just from the get-go as well. Like it was scary from the first 5 minutes. They kicked 5 goals and you're like, oh, wow. Like Brisbane are nowhere near it. And they weren't near it at any stage during the game. Cam Rayner from the dangerous tackle, which potentially sees him out for a week of footy. And then, Dane Zorko obviously making... We're not sure of what comments were made. There's obviously rumours going around. I'm sure everybody's heard their own version of what was said, but he's made some pretty poor comments towards Petty from Melbourne. And obviously, we saw him crying at 3/4 time. So whatever it said obviously hit deep. But this isn't the first time Zorko's done this either. And no fine or suspension by any means has been being talked about. What are your thoughts on this sort of thing? I mean, banter's banter, but do you think? Okay, obviously we don't know what's said, so it's hard. But do you think at some point something's going to be done about that?
I mean, didn't Brisbane and Melbourne? I think that they came out and said it's been solved. Like Brisbane have addressed it, Melbourne have addressed it. I think that both clubs just want it to move, or just want to move on from it. Don't they?
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Because if it keeps carrying on, it's not doing Harry Petty any good, is it?
Well, no, that's it. It's not helping at all.
And you've written Tom Petty on the run sheet.
Yeah,
you actually nearly got me there. Or did you actually think it was Tom Petty?
No, I was trying to see if you picked up on it, but you did. Good man.
I don't know who Tom Petty is. He's a great... I love Tom Petty.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that one because it would have been funny. Good little prank, but it didn't work anyway. But so that's the thing. And I don't know. I appreciate the fact that they want to move past it. And, Harry's probably been the first one to say that they want to look past, they want to move on from it so it doesn't get out for whatever it is. But I mean, how many more people is Zorko gonna really cut deep with? I mean, you don't know what the sledge is. Sledging is sledging, and you don't want to take that away from the game by any means. I'm all for it. But from some of the rumours I've heard that what was said, if any of those were to be true, there's a line that you don't normally cross. And I reckon maybe the Players Association gets involved. I don't know what. I mean, it was funny. I was talking about it earlier, and they were saying if Brisbane weren't playing Richmond this week, would you be saying anything? So, I mean, maybe not. But I still think that he's done it, 10 or 11 times now, Zorks, where this has happened. I like Dan Zorko a lot, so this isn't a personal attack on him, but I just think we need to sharpen up on this sort of stuff. And I think for the most part, the players are pretty good, but maybe make an example of him with a fine or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. He was a man on a mission, though, that night. He wanted to fight everyone.
Well, he could have, he was probably trying to spark something from his teammates.
Yeah, but I don't think he was going about it. He genuinely was going out there just trying to push and shove and getting little fights with every Melbourne player.
He wasn't.
It was getting embarrassing.
He looked really petty.
Yeah.
Pun not intended. Wow. He was looking very petty out there just because obviously they weren't in a winning position by any means, and he didn't know how to take it, how to handle it, and he was taking it out in the opposition, but not in the right way. So, yeah, disappointing. And disappointing from Brisbane as well. Like you said, you really want to go into finals with momentum, and you can handle a loss to a team like Melbourne, but they got pumped. It was nearly 60 points. That's bad. So
it was a very bad night for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very concerning.
And they'll be wanting to bounce back strong week one of the finals because now they don't get the double chance anymore.
Yep.
They're out. And then what another waste of a season it would be if Brisbane can't, at least win one final.
Yeah,
so
exactly. They've gone out in straight sets twice now, haven't they? And then 2020, where it was all set up for them to win the premiership, wasn't it? They got the Gabba
their home deck.
Grand Final. They dropped that one as well. So they may have missed their chances, Brisbane, to win it. So
there's only so long a team can stay at that top level.
Yep.
They've been there since about 2018, 2019 now. So they're getting towards the end, you'd imagine. So they're going to want to make a statement soon. And big chance, Kes, but they're going to have to pick up their form.
Yeah, for sure. Well, big news over the weekend. I mean, it was pretty expected. With the Bombers sacking Ben Rutten in incredible fashion. It defies belief, really, and how he was treated. Quite embarrassing for the Essendon Footy Club, where they went after Clarko, and Clarko pretty much wasted their time, didn't he? He said, I'll talk, but I was never choosing you.
Well, he did it out of respect, apparently. So, I mean, bravo. You've been waiting to press that button all night. But no, you're right. Like that's personally, I think it would have been more respectful to just be upfront and say, look, you're not going to be an option. I'd rather... Because he said out of respect, he gave him the time and sat down and listened to what they had to say. But it's like it didn't matter what they said.
Yep.
So it's almost more disrespectful in that sense, which brings a bit of a smile to my face. But it was, and then to come around and the coach all week said, we've got a job to do. Like the way he was treated, he had every right to just stand up and say, I'm not coaching this weekend, get stuffed. But he stood up and he said, no, we've got a job to do. Like I've made a promise to this group. I made a commitment to the club. I'm going to stick by it. And then we all sort of saw it coming, I guess. But then, straight after the game, boom, gets sacked. And now they've got who do they go? Who they go for now? There's really nobody around. And you'd think Essendon, after the week they had, and we know clubs tend to bounce back when they've been in the spotlight in the media all week, and what's happened with the coach, and then the coach has not only said, no, I'm not giving up, but he stood by the players, and you saw that with videos of him and Michael Hurley during the week, and it seems like he was really invested, even after everything that happened, and the players came out and put up an absolutely dismal performance against the Tigers on the weekend, and lost by 66 points, which is the margin they lost in round one as well. So that really there was no improvement from round one to round 23.
No. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Really feel for Ben Rutten. He seems like a great person. I mean, you'd think you'd have a good relationship with his players, just the way he sort of carries himself, but it really didn't look like the players have been playing for him at all. as much as they say they would. But, geez, he deserved a lot better than that. That was that was really bad. Really felt for him.
Well, he really didn't have a long stint there as well.
Nah.
Like, how much time do you give someone? I know other clubs have done the same thing, but how much time do you give someone before you give him the flick? I mean, the Richmond players on Saturday night gave him more respect than his own club was.
Yeah.
They all got up to him after the game, rubbing his head, patting him on the back, giving him hugs.
Yep.
You saw none of that from Essendon players, and a lot of them would have had a very, very good idea that was his last game.
Just the thing, like, their search for a new coach now would be tough, because like any coach would be very hesitant, I think, to want to go to Essendon, considering the way they treat their coaches.
Well, you'd be pretty sceptical. And the Giants got on the front foot early. I mean, we already knew they were looking for a coach, and Clarko was their first option, obviously, which is fair enough. But we know that they jumped on the bandwagon early, and they got Adam Kingsley signed there, which we're going to talk about next, but may as well bring it up. So they've signed Adam Kingsley, which was one of the front runners for a few clubs in recent years. So they've locked him up. So who's left for them now? I mean, I know the other candidates were sort of Adam Uze and Mark McVeigh even, which, they could go for him, bring him back home. But there's no word coming out of Essendon. We spoke about it before and had a chuckle that I don't know if it's rumours or if this has come from the club itself, but the talks of potentially going back after James Hird. Oh, wow.
Unbelievable. Seriously.
For a club that says they want to move forward and you're going to bring him back.
That's even more embarrassing. If there's any Essendon supporters out there that actually think bringing James Hird back to coach your club is the right move, then wowee. Seriously.
Well,
how can you think that is a good idea where he was led the drug saga? Don't you want to move forward instead of going back? Well, I think the whole culture at Essendon needs to completely change. And I mean, nothing against James Hird now. I'm sure he's doing good things at GWS, but I think going back to Essendon would be the last thing he should be doing, or the club should be doing as well.
Yeah, you want fresh starts and you want to move forward.
They need to. Their culture has been. I mean, Essendon supporters would say that themselves. Like, their culture's been fractured for a very long time. And they just need a clean slate, and I think doing that would be definitely the wrong move.
It would have to be. You'd think so. I mean, I don't see any situation where that would help improve the club. And I mean, drug saga aside, was his record that great at Essendon? I don't really remember. I know it was a little bit ago, but was he that flash at Essendon? I mean, obviously they didn't win a final with him either.
I was going to say they definitely didn't win a final.
Yeah, they haven't done that with their last 12 coaches, I don't think. But, they haven't won a final. They didn't win a final with him. Did they really that much better of a club with him at the helm?
It's just the romance of James Hird. That's all it is.
Which, look, if he hadn't, what happened didn't happen, 100% you understand.
Yeah.
But, I mean, come on. Yeah. You got to move on. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, especially with what's happening at the club at the moment, with this current situation, doing that would be even worse. Anyway, I think we've dwelled on Essendon a lot, but I think it is fair enough. They've been a massive talking point over the last week. So, and we're not just doing that because we love Essendon. We actually it needs to be addressed. Yes, but one thing we haven't mentioned, well, I mean, we've said his name a couple of times, and that is Alistair Clarkson. He's signed for North Melbourne.
Yes, this happened between the last
probably
episode.
One of the, if not the biggest story over the last week since we recorded.
This was huge, and I think for any neutral supporter that doesn't support any of the clubs involved, I think going to North Melbourne is the best result. I think everyone's stoked and over the moon to see Clarko back coaching, but also back at a club like North where he started there. And I think it's also good to mention that, I don't know if it was when he got signed originally or was maybe a new contract signing or something like that, but North Melbourne beat Essendon to signing him as a player, and they've done it again as coach, which I thought was amazing. But, for him to go back to a club that's obviously in a struggling position at the moment, and they're looking to rebuild, what better person to come in and do that? And you know what it is? They're going to retain players now. Even if he doesn't get them to finals, they're going to retain players that they wouldn't have otherwise kept. Because he's there, because these players are going to look and go, well, I want to play under Clarko.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's massive news. So congratulations to all the North Melbourne fans out there. I'm actually over the moon for everybody, and I think it's a great fit.
Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely huge for him. I'm very happy. Very happy. It would have been a very good place to be at. was it Friday? I think it was Friday last week where it was all official. So, and a side note, big call got up. So
it did. Another big call.
And mate, that's one of many. I can feel it.
It's well, you're on a roll now.
It was as per our reel the other week. It was the 11th of July. I called that. And
it's the 22nd of August now.
Exactly. So it was not like it was a couple of weeks beforehand. It was
well in advance.
Over a month. So
you got the inside word. Well, you did work at North, mate, so it's almost unfair. You got the inside word.
I'm not going to reveal my sources, but
well, I'm not asking you to. I don't want you to expose them like that. But I'm just.
But no, I'm very happy for the people that I did meet at North, and I can only imagine how happy they would be, and how much better the workplace would be now with a massive figure like that. So all the best to them for next year.
Absolutely.
All Australian squad was announced this evening, just before we recorded.
It was good timing.
Interesting inclusions and omissions as well, as always.
I was going to say that you always get the omissions that are very surprising. I mean,
what's your biggest surprise?
Jaden
Short.
Yeah, Jaden Short. No. Well, I mean, from a Richmond standpoint, I'll say Dion Prestia not making the squad of 44, I thought was a little bit stiff. If you look at his stats all year, I think he's been incredible, maybe a little bit underrated, which might be the reason he's not in there, but that's obviously a very biased opinion. I was surprised Josh Dacos made it over Nick Dacos. I thought Nick Dacos has been unbelievable all season. Jordan Dawson was another one. There's a bunch of players that probably could have slotted in there that didn't get in there, so it's obviously controversial. But should we read through the list quickly of some of the players that are in there?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll go through it. So I'll do it club by club. So from Adelaide, you got Rory Laird and Taylor Walker, which I think this is Texas' first All-Australian call-up, I believe. Could be wrong. I'd love to be fact-checked on that.
I'm sure he's probably been in the squad, but he's never been an actual All-Australian.
Yes, correct. Okay,
yep.
that might be more spot on. And from the Brisbane Lions, we've got Charlie Cameron, Hugh McCluggage, and Lockie Neal. No surprise there. The Blues, I think, had almost the most players. I think maybe Melbourne might have pipped you there with the most players in the side. But you got Paddy Cripps, Charlie Curnow, Adam Sard, Sam Walsh, and Jacob Wiedering, which that probably was a surprise that Doherty wasn't in there over Wiedering with the amount of footy Wiedering missed. His first half of the year was elite. I thought maybe he missed a bit too much footy though, but not according to the selectors. From the Pies, we've got Jack Crisp, Josh Dacos, and Braden Maynard. At Fremantle, Andrew Brayshaw and Brendan Cox.
Right, you missed one.
Did I?
You missed the team. In between Collingwood and Freo.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, Essendon. They've got none.
Well, okay. Yes, I did. I did miss Essendon. Essendon have nobody. Geelong have Mark Blixarves, Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins, Tyson Stengel, and Tom Stewart.
Saying that Tom Stewart has missed 4 games as well. So
from that suspension.
But
yeah.
he has been very good.
Yeah, and I think his form after coming back as well was still pretty strong, where I feel like Weeder's maybe teetered a little bit in the back half.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I don't think Wiedering... I'm quite surprised that he's in there just given his form.
This is actually probably the only year that it's a surprise that he is in there and not excluded.
I mean, he was a lock at round 12.
100%.
And then, the injury ruined him. So,
but anyway, and then you got the Gold Coast. We've got Took Miller, and was it Took Miller and Jared Witts. GWS, Josh Kelly and Sam Taylor. Hawthorn with just James Sicily. And then Melbourne with a big list. You got Angus Brayshaw, Bailey Fritsch, Max Gawn, Stephen May, Clayton Oliver, and The Track. Port Adelaide have Connor Rosie, who was the better out of him and Walsh. I still stand by. The Tigers have Shea Bolton, Shea Bolton, Tom Lynch, and Daniel Rioli. Saints have Jack Sinclair and Callum Wilkie. The Swannies have Isaac Heaney, Callum Mills, Tom Papley, and Chad Warner. West Coast even got one in there, Tom Barras. And the Bulldogs have the Bont and Jack McRae. No surprises there whatsoever. And let me tell you, this spot on the half-back line is going to be one of the hardest positions to pick this year, I think. There are so many players on this list that could easily fit into that half-back type role, and it's going to be a real challenge for the selectors.
Who's your tip? Who's your 2?
Well, I mean, Tom Stewart's going to be there.
Is he probably more back pocket, I'd say.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a tough. I don't. And it depends where they put them. It's like, you know how they put midfielders in the forward pocket sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look at this list and see, apart from Tom Papley, I might be missing someone, but I can't see anybody in there that's a forward pocket.
Tyson Stengel.
Stengel's there, sorry, and I guess Shea Bolton you could put in the pocket as well.
I think Stengel and Bolton will probably be the two forward pockets, I'd say.
Yeah, you'd imagine. But then Bolton could play in the half forwards.
Yeah.
It's who knows where they're going to put them. But, I mean, I would say Sard would be there for sure. I'd love to say Rioli, but I think him and Sard are too similar, and Sard takes the cake over Rioli. But Braden Maynard, potentially. I've loved what I've seen from Bros this year. I don't know. It's too hard. I'm trying to look at the list and pick out names. It's too hard to pick, but
it is going to be very hard. I wouldn't want to be selecting that position.
No, absolutely not. So I think that's one of the tougher positions this year. But yeah, it's always controversial that every year, the All-Australian squad, there's players that miss that should definitely be there. And it's interesting that, there'll be players that miss the squad of 44 that arguably should be in the 22.
Yeah.
That have missed, and then vice versa. So interesting, but it's always something to talk about this time of the year.
Yeah, we love it. And that is going to be released Wednesday night, I think. So it'll be just after this is released. So
not long to wait.
Yes, exactly right. Should we get into our segments, considering we're not we won't be previewing we'll do the finals next week. I'm tipping the finals preview.
Yeah, well, we can talk about which games are coming up and then preview them next week if we like. So
all right. Let's run. We'll just run through the matchups and we'll do the previews next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We're just doing some organising on the fly.
Yeah, why not? That's how we roll on the Pressure Point podcast. On the Thursday night, September 1st, we have Brisbane hosting the Tigers at the Gabba, which is an interesting time slot. Thursday night. Oh, Thursday night for finals.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people want the Sunday game.
Yeah, it should be.
Well, you'd think. I feel like attendance would be better on a
Well, everyone loves a Sunday game. Like the last few Sundays have been one of the games of the year.
And you think the AFL would have taken notice of that, but a lot of people have been speculating, and I tend to agree that the Thursday night is better for TV ratings.
Yeah, it's all
and
about
being
TV.
at the Gabba, Richmond being the big. I think this is the perfect game to try and get those TV ratings.
Yep.
But I still would have preferred a Sunday fixture. But anyway, we got on the Friday we got Melbourne versus the Swans at the MCG. Saturday we've got Geelong versus Collingwood, and then Saturday night 8:10 at Optus Stadium we've got Freo hosting the Bulldogs.
It's crazy about Geelong, isn't it? Now
I'm not saying anything.
I just don't. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm just leave it there.
We'll move on to the segments. I got a Crimea review this week that I've been pretty keen, and it does actually have something to do with the Geelong Collingwood matchup. So let's dive right into that. So a lot of the audience might say that you've been doing a Crimea River half the episode already, but that wasn't what was going on. So we'll get into my Crimea River, and it does involve the Collingwood and Geelong matchup at the MCG, 4:35 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. Now, the AFL, they preach how much they care about local level football and how much they want to see the game grow and expand, especially in country regions, which is the big one here. But even just local levels, like in Melbourne, you've obviously got the Southern League, you've got VAFA, Northern Footy League. There's all these different leagues that go around MP and MPNFL. Finals this weekend. Well, for a lot of leagues are starting. I know there's grand finals on this weekend, especially up in the country where they rely on massive crowds and all that. Now, scheduling an AFL final at 4:35, which clashes with so many local league finals, is honestly a joke. I mean, firstly, it's a terrible time slot, 4:35. Like, put it at 7:30 or put it at 2:10. You know what I mean? Don't put it right in the middle. But then to have it at 4:35, like I said, and clashing with all these local finals, and just you're taken away from the communities, taken away from, canteens and things like that. And it's going to hurt local clubs. And a lot of people are going to feel it over the weekend because, fair enough, if you know someone that might play, for your local footy club and they're in a final on the weekend, but you're a Geelong supporter, you're going to be watching the Cats, aren't you? You're not going to go watch the local footy, which is fair enough because the standard's obviously a lot better at AFL. But this is on the AFL to not... They know that the local football's on. Don't schedule it at the same time. I'm not a big fan of that because I know if I was playing on that Saturday at that time...
It's finals.
And
local footy finals too, isn't it?
that's what I'm saying.
For a lot of-
That's
for
what
a
I'm
lot of-
getting
a lot
at.
of-
Like, I know for
yeah.
me, my finals start
Yeah.
this weekend. I don't know if I was playing at that time and it clashed and Richmond win a final, I would be dirty.
Yeah.
I just think that they've done a disservice there to local football. And like I said, especially the country leagues that are still recovering from COVID and the impacts that had not playing for seasons. And they bring in so much revenue, for especially finals time where you get to pay to get in, which I know some leagues do every game anyway, but finals are a little bit more expensive. The money they make over the bar, the canteen, merchandise, all that sort of stuff is massive for them. And to now have a chance that a lot of people aren't going to be there because this game clashes, I think it's just, it's disgusting from the AFL.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I think you would have thought Geelong Collingwood would have been a Thursday or a Friday night slot.
Well, I think the only reason it wasn't the Thursday night is because they're expecting a massive crowd. And you're not going to get that on a Thursday night. I don't think.
What about the Friday?
Friday could have been.
They could have. I'm surprised
Friday-
this wasn't the Friday.
Friday could have been. I think it probably should have been as well, being Sydney's an away team.
Yeah.
This probably could have been the 4:35 slot. Well, we'd, like I said, prefer not that time, but I think they could have swapped those around because I think Geelong Collingwood would probably be the biggest attended game of the round.
Yeah. Well, Melbourne Sydney won't be.
No, Melbourne Sydney certainly won't be. The Gabba doesn't have the potential to be, and there wouldn't be many doggy supporters in Fremantle, I wouldn't imagine. So, it's going to be the biggest game of the round. Probably should have been the Friday. But once again, the AFL has, I think, butchered the scheduling. They do it on the fly. They've done it all year and have still made mistakes somehow. I mean, I probably couldn't do the job much better, but I think they've just, they've ruined this week.
Yep. No, very cool, mate. Very cool. All right. Big call time.
Speaking of calls, do we have one this week? Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, let's dive into it.
Well, my original big call, I've updated it. It was that Essendon were going to win the next 10 wooden spoons, but I think that's probably not a big enough call. So I'm going to run with the D's. Are going to win the flag
Back
year.
to back.
I think they're going to do it. They're from what I saw on Friday night, they were unbelievable, and I think they're getting a few players back as well for the first final. So they're going to be fully fit. And I think on the MCG grand final day against Geelong, which I think a lot of people are expecting, I think they can do it. And they really want, and they've said it all year, they really want to win that flag in front of their fans. Obviously, they won it in Perth last year. It wasn't the same, but they want to do it this year. And I think they're coming good at the right time. They've had a few blips here and there, but from what I saw on Friday night, they're going to take some stopping. And not saying Geelong are not going to win it either, but I just think the D's are looking primed. I think they've got more weapons, and their best footy is unstoppable. So it's my big call. I think the D's are going to go back to back.
I don't mind that at all.
I mean, it's not a massive call, but I mean, everyone thinks Geelong are going to run away with it at the moment.
But it's an open race too. Like Sydney are probably a bit of a dark horse there. They
Yeah.
could come up and win it. Like, who knows?
I think it's probably out of those three: Geelong, Melbourne, Sydney.
You'd
at
have
this
to.
stage.
You'd have to say so.
Yeah.
I don't think Brisbane are a
No.
genuine chance.
think-
Bulldogs probably, arguably shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
And Freo just haven't been consistent enough all year. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think the Tigers, if they get everything going, potentially. I mean, you just can't write off Richmond from what you guys have achieved and the experience there. And if you get Dustin Martin back to his best, then who knows? You can never write off Richmond. So
For me, it depends how we go in the first final. I mean, obviously we have to win to
Yeah.
even get through because it's an elimination final. But if we win and like I see some danger signs, like in a good way, then I'll be a lot more confident that we can sort of knock anybody off. But until I see that, we've had a few easy teams the last few weeks. We beat Brisbane, obviously, a few weeks ago, which was massive. But then we've had a few bottom 8 sides. So it'd be a good test coming up to the Gabba. But I want to timestamp this big call. It's Monday the 22nd of August, 2022. So if that gets up,
we'll know in a month's time.
late September, we'll be talking about it.
Yep. All right, mate. Well, I think that's it. That's it.
Gotten through it all.
Yeah.
Been an emotional night. Been a bit of a
I do
journey.
feel a lot better for it.
You always do.
Expressing my emotions a little bit. So it's definitely been the toughest toughest episode I've had to get myself up for, that's for sure. And there's been some times where we joke about it and saying, oh, geez, it'd be tough to do the podcast after this loss. But that was genuinely very hard to get up for and talk about. So I'm glad I did it.
Well, I knew it was tough when we were setting up and you said, what would you have done if I just said I wasn't rocking up tonight? I thought, oh, God. No, that's when I knew you were being serious about it. But no, it was good of you to get on. I know it's tough. We've all sort of been in similar situations. So, yeah, a lot of people I'm sure can relate. So good of you for getting on. But that is it for this episode. It's been a wild one, like we said, ups and downs. But finals are here. I'm not sure. Are we taking a break? Are we going to roll through? Might have to wait and see. Surprise the audience with that one. There's a week off with the AFL. So.
We'll definitely do some sort of preview, I reckon. But yeah, we'll find out and see what happens next week.
Absolutely. We'll just play it by ear, as some people like to say. So that's absolutely what we're going to do. We could even talk about the All-Australian team because that'll be announced. So
it is awards season, so there will be a few things to talk about next week. So you'll probably be listening to us this time next week as well.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting back into it. But that's all for this week. So enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully your team has made the finals. And if not, just sit back, relax and enjoy September.